a new sub-series of critical coffee considerations with me, Francis Peck, Coffeae, Scientia. Let's dive into it immediately and discuss why this title, Coffeae, Scientia. Now, why Latin? It's not that I want to show off with my Latin. I was not particularly good at it in high school. I failed it actually 2 years. Just as I was thinking about this series, I kind of liked the sound of it, the connection with science. So of course, Coffea is kind of new Latin for coffee. The Romans themselves did not know coffee yet, so they did not use that word. When we look it up in word sense, it gives us an example of a very recent text using it. So here we go. Qui quotidietrina aut quaterna pocilla coffeae bibunt paulo de Lucius quam ali vivere videntur. If you drink 3 or 4 cups of coffee each day, are seen to live a bit longer than others, those who drink 3 or 4 cups of coffee. That's a very scientific claim. That's really one of the things that we want to analyze in this series. Everything that has to do with coffee and science. I was curious when I actually looked up this entry. Who then is this Regio Pitcaranta? So then apparently he is, he has a wiki page in New Latin. There is no, there is Suomi. I don't really actually know that language. So he's apparently Secretarius Superior Fundationes Instituti Romani Finlandia, so somewhere based in Finland. Est auctor Neolatinus Finicus, a new Latin Finnish author. Well, that's cool to know. People are still into Latin, writing new text in Latin and discussing drinking coffee in Latin. And then, of course, the Scientia part, coming from CO, knowing, understanding, so coffee knowledge, coffee science, those things kind of go hand in hand. But what is science? Not all of us are conducting science. Most of us know you kind of need to do measurements. And now on this kind of barista course and making these videos and not being able to help myself to do some unboxing once in a little while, I ended up not resisting a purchase coming directly from China. DF Robots. Immediately after ordering, I kind of regretted it because now I'll get a bill for 22 euros just to import this thing that the value of it only cost me it was like $15 of a value, and this is already kind of disappointing. The size of this, at least. This is a thermocouple, a K-type. So this is what I was hoping to use to measure the roasting process, but it's really tiny. I guess it makes sense that I didn't pay a lot for the actual value and then end up paying. Well, the FedEx was also $15, so I end up paying 35-40 euros. At least I get to use it in this video. Okay, that I should be able to plug into an Arduino I have sitting in the cupboard for almost 10 years. So instead of buying a cheaper thermocouple measuring device, um, I like this kind of, just get your sensors, plug them to an Arduino, start measuring, start controlling everything, kind of maker philosophy. Anyone can be a scientist because anyone can start measuring. So that's measuring temperature. And well, I guess I will be able to use it to measure the temperature of my espressos at the very least. Maybe not the roasting itself, but at least I get to experiment with that. And then the other thing I got was a turbidity measurement device. So there's a lot about TDS, total dissolved solids, how to measure that with a refractometer. You could measure the changes in current if you're kind of looking into ions that are being present. So this one supposedly should be based on the kind of light breaking and then being able to make a measurement of the amount of solids in your liquid. So I both want to use it for the water I'm putting into my espresso machine after filtering it, and the espresso coming out of there. So I get to play with that too. So already 2 devices to do some measurements, connected to an Arduino, start to kind of collect this kind of data. But that's kind of also the as a philosopher, the difficulty I have with science. Science measuring is knowing, but then that kind of brings you to this streetlight effect. Science tends to be about things that we can measure because, well, that's the valid part about it. It's easy to communicate that to others because you're not only communicating, you're also communicating that you could do those measurements yourself and reproduce what one person is observing. But that kind of then gives you the limit of what you're able to talk about. Now with coffee, that's interesting, and how much discussions there are going on this, for example, TDS, and what TDS are you getting in your espresso, and people buying devices of 300, 400 euros to be able to measure those things, while in the end what matters is how it tastes to you and how you're actually enjoying that. So that's also one topic I would like to address in this videos. When do you need to go beyond science? When do you need to go back maybe to philosophy? So the streetlight effect is that where somebody is only looking, this well-known anecdote of a drunk man searching for his keys and only in the vicinity of the streetlight, and the policeman asking him, "But are you sure you lost him here?" And he responds, "No, but this is the only place where I'm able to see anything." So where he's looking. So now let's get into the real coffee science, coffee knowledge part, and let's do that by consulting a very important website for anything having to do with life sciences, which is PubMed, the American National Library of Medicine kind of catalog, recording a lot of science. Anything that not only has to do with medicine, but everything with life sciences. And I guess that's why everything ended up in that catalog, because anything having to do with biology, life sciences might at some point also be relevant for medicine. So there you go. Now if we do a search simply on Coffea Arabica, we can go back to 1936, as you can see here. one publication, then a lot of years where there's not really anything happening until the 1993, getting a bit of publications about that, and then it's starting to increase. So at some point I can do really kind of a review of, let's say, selected publications from several years. For this first episode, let's just have a look at the very first one, which is here from 1936, which is this article that we're able to read a scan from: the ovule and seed of Coffea Arabica, L. So that one is starting here. In studying the vascular anatomy of the flowers of the blah 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 blah, upon certain morphological features of the ovule of Coffea arabica that have been misinterpreted or overlooked. Though Coffea may not be closely related, it might be of interest to note in 1902, so this is a person writing in 1936. Of course, for him it was easier knowing what was happening in 1902 than it is for us in 2022. Thankfully, thanks to PubMed, we were able to already go back to 36. So this kind of first entry is kind of really talking about the morphology, how it is growing, the endosperm characteristics, as the embryo is developing. So this is not really telling us a lot about how we should drink our coffee. It's just kind of a first entry point into science and Coffea Arabica. So for next episodes, I'll select more relevant topics, I hope, or where my scientific interest into this is leading me. Thank you for already giving this first episode a chance, and hope to see you on the next one. Enjoy your coffee, stay healthy, and see you next time.